All right, America,
How you
we
feeling?
back. Another episode, Buff and Prime. You got your boy
Yes, sir.
CT the fan with T Cal. Let's get after it. That schedule drop, bro.
We finally have the official Big 12 schedule. We are finally here. So we're going to run through the 2024 Big 12 schedule. You know, we're already looking at getting at a game. I think that UCF game looks great to go to September 28th. But yeah, let's talk about the schedule. Let's go game by game, starting with North Dakota State.
So, how do you feel about North Dakota State? Did you hear the news? They lost their offensive coordinator 2 days ago.
Yes, I did. I did.
Crazy.
So North Dakota State, I played my last 2 years of college football at the FCS level.
Mhm.
They've dominated the FCS level for the past probably 10, 15 years. Like that's been those guys. And not just dominated the FCS level, they've came to the FBS and upset teams and played close games with big time teams. I think they either upset Kansas State or came really close to. So North
Mhm.
Dakota State's nothing to play with as
Right.
far as a football program. But if we can't beat an FCS school, there ain't no way we get into the playoffs, and that's everybody's expectation. So we got to run through them for sure.
Well, hey, depends on where you see them. That first game, because you don't get it's not like NFL with preseason, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to work through that. It is a game where if Colorado lose, Colorado beats themselves. How I feel about it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and that's the toughest thing when you have a bunch of new guys and you're going into week
mhm,
one.
mhm.
We're not returning all the same starters as we were last year. So that week one game, that's a trap game. That is when somebody can catch you off guard and really get some special upset. So we definitely got to be on our P's and Q's. It's a home game, so they're coming to us. I know Folsom's going to be crazy, but it's definitely not a game I'm overlooking at all. The current spread on it is 8.5 points, which again, I think is wild.
That is
But
wild. Now you got
I
me
need it to be a
intrigued.
statement game.
Right, right. You dropped
I
that
need it to
point
be a
spread. Like,
statement game
what up? Yeah,
because
no.
if they come out and play us close,
Mm.
everybody's going to be running their mouth about, oh, see, you guys thought you guys got this much better. You could barely beat North Dakota State. So I'm looking for that to be 500 yards passing from Shador. Shador not playing past third quarter, and everybody get that grind.
I respect that. I agree with you. I feel like, especially with North Dakota State losing this offensive coordinator, Jake Landry, I just feel like, man, you know, are they going to change the entire system? You bring in this new guy, and then this new guy was up the road. He had just committed and signed with the school up there. 6 days later,
Mm-hmm.
he's leaving that school to come to you. I think
Yeah,
we take advantage of this little chaos. I think North Dakota State, we could
I
check
think
that
we
off
have
as a
to.
win. Right. I think we
And
check that off
then
as a win.
we go the very next week to our rival, and that's going to Nebraska because they came to us last year.
Right.
And unlike basically any other school, Colorado plays their rivalry games early. So we got Nebraska at Nebraska and then Colorado State at Colorado State back to back. How you feeling about those two?
I feel like both of these are potential trap games, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
up one week and then you get up the next week. But I will say this, and this is what I like about last year, and then experience is the best teacher, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they know now that when you go to Colorado, you got the bullseye on your back. You're gonna get
Oh,
somebody's
for
best,
sure.
no matter if it's week 8, week
Every
9.
single week.
It doesn't matter. Every single week, you got to be prepared because everybody's gonna bring their A game against you. So I still think Nebraska's not there yet. I still think this should be a win for us. I'm hoping to see that running game pop off, but I
Mm-hmm.
still feel comfortable about rivalry games are so but I still feel comfortable that the Buffs should go in there and do what the Buffs do, because if the Buffs take care of business, it doesn't matter what the other side doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And obviously, we ended up blowing out Nebraska, but it was a slow start. It was a
Mm-hmm.
really slow start this past season. It wasn't until Tavares Dawson had got his touchdown to where we kind of got things going. So, one of the things we talked about before, how Nebraska played Shador and the Colorado offense different than everybody else, is they were rushing 3 and dropping 8. They could do that because we didn't have any type of run game. But we go
Right.
into this season with Alton McCaskill, Dylan Edwards, Draylon Miller, maybe even freshman Micah Welch, and we can
Mm-hmm.
run the ball efficiently when they're only rushing 3. I think that can really change up what they want to do defensively and really gash them. Like I think the games are just gonna be a completely different pace than we saw
Right.
last year. Now
Mhm.
that we're able to establish a run game, and we got better significantly. I know Nebraska ended up getting the top quarterback in the country. He's a true freshman. Not sure if he's going to end up playing this year, but they didn't get better the way we did. So I expect that to be a blowout.
Yeah, especially with that true freshman coming in and they're bringing that. I mean, yes, the offense coordinator used to work with Rule down in Baylor, but
Hmm.
I mean, it still takes time. I mean, we catching them the second game of the season. So, do you really want to put that freshman, true freshman out there?
Oh, no,
That defensive
absolutely
line
not.
coming. We got them Giants on that line now. So,
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later. And then right after that, right after being in Nebraska, we head to Colorado State for the I take my hat and sunglasses off when I talk to adults game. And I know it, I know I sent you what his wife said about Shador on Twitter, called him a female dog. So it's really
wow.
up.
Oh,
Like
let's go.
this is gonna
This is the
it,
game. I think this is the game that's the season, right? And I say this
mhm,
in the fact that I believe like Travis is coming. Travis is going, I just, this game had so much emotion in it, right? But this time, I feel like it's gonna be the ant versus the steamroller. Like,
mhm.
like it ain't gonna be you know what? We gonna put our foot on your neck and we gonna keep it there type
It's
thing.
gonna be the way it was supposed to be last year.
Exactly.
We expected to go in and just really stomp them out.
Hmm.
And how the game started last year, I was messaging you. I said Colorado State's desperate. They scored off a fumble return and then scored off like a double reverse pass to start off the game. And we could not stop crossing routes. We could not. They ran under route after under route after under route. And they said after the game that the D coordinators made the adjustments, but the players just could not adjust to the under routes. It was all game long. So as long as we stop the under routes, that's another win that I think is going to be a blowout. I see us having 3 blowouts the first 3 weeks. And I mean, I see us walking through Baylor too.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, I think Baylor. I think we cruise through Baylor, bro. I think it's good because that you come back to these back-to-back rival games. Well, here we go again.
Hmm.
You can start speaking of a trap game. You know what I'm saying? Because your
Yeah.
emotions is so high. But once again,
Hmm.
Colorado has to know that when you play anybody, I don't care if it's a
You're
Thursday,
getting their
Friday,
best.
Saturday, you're gonna
You're
get
getting
their
their absolute
best, their
best
absolute
because they
best.
know the entire country's watching and
Exactly.
they want to be the ones to shut up Coach Prime, to
Hmm.
stop Shador from doing the Shador, to expose Travis Hunter. That's what everybody's looking for every single game. So yeah, we're gonna get their best. They went 3-9 last year, and we went 4-8. Obviously, we had a lot of really close games,
Right.
but I don't see them giving us any problems at all. And that's gonna be really the first home game versus FBS opponent. So I expect the stadium to be rocking. That's going to be our first
Yeah.
Big 12 home game.
Hmm.
And I think that's going to be a real good one.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I can imagine. I mean, I think the atmosphere is just gonna be crazy. And then, I feel like at that point, the offense should be firing on all cylinders. The defense should be doing what it needs to do. You're
Hmm.
talking week 4. By then, I mean, Colorado should be Colorado. You
Yeah.
know,
And then we go to UCF, which is a game I would love to go to in person down in Orlando. And this is big. It's going to be Dion back in Florida. We got a lot of Florida boys on that
yeah,
team now.
yeah.
Travis back in Florida. It's going to be it's going to be huge for recruiting,
Hmm.
because we're trying
Florida's
to
that
grab a
state.
lot of Florida talent. So
Right.
I'm sure every top Florida recruit is going to be at this game and be
Yeah.
able to see the Colorado Buffaloes live and in action. And it needs to be a statement game. It needs to be a really big statement game. UCF last year, they went 6-7, so they had a losing record. It's not the UCF of before that was putting up
Mm.
50 points with, I think it was Mackenzie Milton, when they was just running it up on everybody. And it's going to be a lot different this year. So I think that's going to be a really big game. I know all the players from Florida are going to be real excited to play in front of their home crowd.
Right.
And I think that's another one that we roll through and have a really good game.
Well, how you feel about this Kansas State?
So we got Kansas State at home. Kansas State had an up and down season last year. They ended up finishing 9-4. And this is going to be, in my opinion, our first real big test, like our true welcome to the Big 12 game.
Mm-hmm.
I expect us to win. It's going to be a tough one for sure. I think
Right.
this is all eyes on us. Now, Kansas State we have a bye week right before that. So
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State is coming out of the bye week. So if we go 5-0
Mm-hmm.
through the first 5 weeks, going to the bye week, one, we're definitely going to be ranked. So we're going to be ranked at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, definitely.
And two, we're going to have an extra week to watch film on Kansas State and really get ready for the meat of the Big 12 conference play. So I think coming out the bye week, I think that we have a hell of a week. It's going to be a tough game, but it's at home. I think we'll still be able to pull it out. And I'm excited to see how the offense looks at this point. I think the first 5 weeks, we're still going to be finding ourselves as an offense. But when you get to this point of the season, Kansas State offense and defense, we still don't have a D coordinator.
Right.
At this part of the season, this is when everything starts to mesh. So I'm expecting a really good performance by us. I expect to win for sure. I'm not too sure about any of the other specifics with the game, but I definitely think we beat Kansas State at home.
Well, I mean, like you said, this is the meat and potatoes. This is where we're gonna be ranked. That's when that target gonna get bigger on our back. I feel like, hey, we bounce back. We think about last year. You know what I'm saying? When you get in Arizona, you get to Kansas State, as long as we healthy, I think we just keep rolling. By the time we get to Kansas State, though, I expect to see that running game. I expect to see our running game like be something that teams gotta worry about. Because I don't want it to be Shador, and then they come in there, like Nebraska, rush 3, drop 8, rush 3, drop 8. This time you do that, we got something for you, right? So that's what I think.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I don't expect Shador to play a full game until Kansas State. That's my goal. The first 5 weeks, I need Shador taken out in the fourth quarter. I want some young guys to get in play. And I think that's part of our key to success. If we can keep guys healthy, if we can run the ball, like you said, not have to always have it in Shador's hands and be able to take pressure off of him and take hits off of him.
Right. That's what I'm more concerned. Right. Take the hits off of him.
The more you pass, the more times you're going to get hit. It's just
he got sacked 52 times last year. You don't even want to run that risk, right?
We can't have that again.
I feel like we got it. Plus, like, you got to establish a running game because we need to close. I think a Stanford game, like, you got to run games. That should have never happened, right? So, and we got some mean offensive linemen coming in. So I expect that run game should get to rolling. And I feel that. So the Arizona going down there, they lost their coach. He went up to UW, but they kept that quarterback. They thought that quarterback was going to go up to UW, but he stayed. So how you feel about Arizona?
I think Arizona, it's a whole new team. Because when you get a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new head coach, every player doesn't fit any scheme.
Right.
So you have some guys that can be really elite in certain schemes and situations, and then other situations. Yeah, exactly. And then you put them in a different situation where you see them turn into a shadow. Exactly. So there's a lot of unknown with Arizona. Arizona was at their best last year, and we should have won that game.
Right.
We ended up giving that game away late. So after seeing them at their best, and we weren't at our best at that point at all, I'm not worried about this game as far as win-loss. It's going to be a win, especially momentum off of Kansas State. I think we're just going to really be gaining steam and keeping everything rolling. But like you said, losing your head coach, getting new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, it's going to be tough. And they're going to be in the same situation as us where they're going to be hoping to have found their footing by
that time. Right. They should be, because at that point, if they haven't, their season could be already over. So then it might not be playing for nothing.
That as of now, the transfer portal is still open for them Arizona players to leave. I would not be surprised if we see more and more names continue to leave from there. And then what they have to do is get a coach in that's going to be able to recruit quickly and try to fill those spots. So that's one to keep an eye on, but I definitely still see it as a win. And then we come back home against Cincinnati. How are you feeling about that one?
I said, well, there's no place like home. So I think it's always good when you could play at home. Uh, I'm not really worried about Cincinnati. At this point, I'm just more be concerned about the health of our team. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
we're in the grind, like you're grinding now. So my thing is about staying healthy, being healthy. I no disrespect to Cincinnati. I just think that if Colorado ain't rolling by then, that boat we might not be rolling at all. Because by the time you get to Cincinnati, I feel like everything should be clicking. Like Shador should probably won't even come out to halftime. Who knows?
That would be ideal. That's definitely what I'm looking for from
Mhm.
them is Shador to be kicking it at halftime. I don't want him
Yeah, but he would
doing
have to
anything
put up
else.
some outstanding numbers because for him to be in the Heisman contention,
Yeah,
you
see,
got to be
that,
careful about pulling
that's
him
the
too early
thing.
because
Yeah,
he ain't got
that's
he
the
got to get
thing.
them. He's got to start early. That's my thing with Shador. Like he's got to come out and he's got to establish his Heisman early. Like because he's going against a fellow Heisman on his same team. Really, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
could go.
His
He could
biggest
throw
competitor
five
is probably going to be
touchdowns,
his teammate.
right? And he could throw five touchdowns if he throw them all to Travis Hunter, and then Hunter gets a pick six, and then
Yeah,
who's leading the? You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? So,
And I
I,
love that. That's a very unique situation
mm-hmm.
that I can't think of anyone like that where a defensive player and the quarterback were up there as far as potential Heismans. So that's going to be something that I know college football is going to keep their eyes on and going to love
Yeah,
to watch. Since he went 1-8 in conference last year, so not very good in conference. I think 3-9 overall. They lost their tight end, Shimon Mateer, to us, and he is going to be fantastic in our offense. We're going to use him really well. So I don't think this one is a worry. I'm actually really excited about these type of games because, like you said, this is where you continue to get those stats for the Heisman, and games like this is where you get to see what other players can do on the team. This is
right,
where if we
right.
are up huge at half, that you can get some freshmen in and guys start to emerge, like we saw from Omarion last year versus USC,
Yeah,
which we wanted him to keep carrying on, but that didn't happen. But
but
games
it's
like these are where you can see that.
but that's the cool thing about Colorado. I feel like what I'm saying. You look at that wide receiver room is stacked. You look at the running back
Yeah.
room is stacked. I feel like honestly, it's gonna be every other week somebody might be that dog.
Yeah.
I mean, because you
And
got that kind of talent.
we can truly do that this year with the receivers. We could have a different leading receiver every single week. Like I
Mm,
would not be surprised by that at all. We could have 3 different leading rushers every week. Like we have so many weapons. I definitely agree with you that different guys are going to step up at different moments, and it's really going to be who has the hot hand.
exactly, and I agree with you 100%. And that's the thing. I hope these recruits understand that when you come to Colorado, it's like, hey, bro, you're gonna really learn what it means to be a part of a team. Like this is not an eye football team because every other week, you know what I'm saying? It could be Edwards, it could be Hunter, it could be. It's limitless. So
Exactly.
it's the gift and the curse, really.
Then we get another bye week. So our second bye week, and then we had 2 Texas Tech. Now, I've been to Texas Tech before.
Hmm.
I had a scholarship from Texas Tech in high school, was recruited by um, the state senator for Alabama currently,
That's
Tommy
funny.
Tuberville. Yeah, that's
Wow.
another story. But I've been there. That stadium is crazy. The atmosphere at Texas Tech is insane. It's going to be, I think that game could really be a dogfight depending on which Texas Tech we get.
Right.
Texas Tech last year almost beat Oregon. They should have won that game. They ended
I
up giving
remember you
away
talked
late
about
with the
that
pick six.
all the
Oh my
time
gosh.
last year.
Texas Tech should have beat Oregon,
Mhm.
but they also lost to Wyoming in overtime. So this is a hot and cold team, kind of like we were, to be honest,
Mhm.
last year. So depending on how they play throughout the season, we'll be able to see more of what we're going to get at that point. But again, coming out of a bye week, we got time for guys to rest. We got time to watch extra film on Texas Tech. I don't see them beating us at that point, but it
But
could
it's
definitely
a
be
road
a
game
tough
that
one.
the hostile environment. I mean, you tap back into even though it's gonna be like a lot of new players, you tap back to the TCU game last year. But I just think honestly, going into Texas Tech, coming off a bye, I would say every team on this schedule is gonna give us their A game. So
Hmm.
and I think that's the mindset. that Colorado has to know and has to take. Like you can't sleep on nobody. And I
No.
also think that the not just the players, the coaches need to have that mindset. So don't
Yeah,
get
for
there,
sure.
don't start pulling the dogs off. Like you got to
Yeah,
let these dogs go and just let them keep going.
absolutely. And I'm all for that. Like, that's why I
Mhm.
felt like we fell short against Stanford last year. Like, keep your foot on their neck. Keep
Yes.
going for it on fourth down. Keep being
Hmm.
aggressive. That's what we need to do and have that mindset every single game. Um, right after Texas Tech, we got a home game at Utah. Now, people are a lot higher on Utah than I am. I'm sorry.
Well, they've
Like,
been
a
ranked
lot
like the
higher.
last 3 or 4 years, bro. And I think
Yeah.
last year and the year before that, they got in the top 10.
And they also beat us by 3 when Shador didn't play a snap.
Mm.
And Travis had 2 touchdowns
Mm.
illegitimately called back. So I know they're supposed to be getting a quarterback back for his 11th year of college football, something like that, who didn't really play this past year. So that could change their dynamic some. But I'm sorry, I'm not a believer in Utah. I'm not at all. If you guys are that legit, even without your quarterback, you guys should have been able to do something better than beating Lil Low Colorado by only 3 points. So I'm not sold on them. I think this is going to be another win. Former Pac-12 opponent, just like Arizona, now in the Big 12. And I think at this point, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think we 10-0 at this point. Like, I don't know about you, but I
You
think we
heard
10-0
that,
at this
America, the
point.
Big 10. Oh, look, I look at this Utah game and I just say, the cool thing about it, where it falls at the schedule, we gonna know who Utah is by then. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
we'll know who we are by then.
exactly. So you know what I'm saying. We might, when we get there, we might have a different conversation, but by then we're gonna know who Utah is and what Utah's able to do or what they're
Mm-hmm.
not able to do. So but once again, I always remind all Colorado players, man, respect the A game. That's
Yep.
really respect the A game.
Then we go to Kansas. Kansas is a tricky one, man.
Mm.
Kansas is no longer just a basketball school. Kansas is a gritty team and they can play ball. I'm really interested to see how they look next year. They had some games where they looked really good this past
Yeah.
season. They had some
Mhm.
games where they looked not so good. And I know they had some rotations at quarterback and stuff like that. They ended up going 9-4. This will be a tough one, especially if we are 10-0 at this point, because
Right.
then the pressure starts to build.
Yeah.
And you're looking forward to Big 12 championship, college football playoff berth. And a game like this is set up again for a perfect trap opportunity,
Right.
depending on how Kansas is doing at that point in the year. But if we are 10-0, we definitely have to focus and close out strong. And Kansas, I've been watching them for the past 3 to 4 years. They've played, even though their record doesn't show it, they've played some really good teams really tough. So this is one that I definitely would be on the lookout for,
So
and
this the
we
one,
have to be focused.
Shador or Travis can earn their Heisman. Because I mean, you need tough games, honestly. Because like if the schedule is full of fluffs, by the time you
Mhm.
get to the playoffs, you ain't gonna when you run into a real team, you ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? So
I think the Heisman is going to be earned those last 4 to 5 weeks, including the Big 12
mm,
championship. I think Texas Tech on is where those games are going to start to get tougher, and we're
mhm,
really going to have to see, hey, who's going to rise to the top, who's going to have that Heisman moment. So
right,
this is definitely a game where that could happen, along with the next one, which is a home game against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State finished second in the Big 12 last year. They're in the Big 12 championship, and they went 10-4. So coming off a really good season, I know they are probably sick of hearing about Colorado.
yeah,
Their biggest competition in the Big 12 has been Texas and Oklahoma, who are both gone.
yeah,
So they feel like this is their conference. This game could be, it could feel like the Big 12 championship game. And I'm not sure how they have the conferences set as far as championship games, because I don't think that they're doing divisions.
mhm.
But however they do it, if it's not divisions and it's just record, this could be a back-to-back game. We could play Oklahoma
That'd be
State end of the
wild.
season and then play them again for the Big 12 championship. So that's one that is really going to be, hey, we have to lock in, because I expect Oklahoma State to, like I said, really feel like this is their conference now. So they're not going to want Colorado, Coach Prime, and the Buffaloes coming in and taking what they feel like is theirs. So that's going to be a really good game to watch. And man, I'm gonna be glued to the TV for that one.
You know what? I'm gonna tell them just bring it. It's the last home game of the season.
Mhm.
Uh, the atmosphere is gonna be insane.
Yeah,
The
it is.
players, the energy. You know what I'm saying? I think, man, by then, if we're 10-0, we're gonna be 11-0. A home game, your last home game of the season, and everything on the line like that. Oh, Coach Prime gonna have them boys ready. They're gonna be about their business. And I actually think it might not even be a close game, to be honest with you, because sometimes, man, even though you can bring your A game, that other person just got that bigger pencil. So it don't matter, right?
Right.
So I just think that I look at it and I understand Oklahoma, but I mean they coming to Colorado. It's the last game because we're gonna know who we are. And when you know who you are, it doesn't matter who lines up on the other side because you know what you're
Mhm.
gonna do. So I
I
think that's
agree.
gonna solidify that, bro. Because I think you're right then. We're already fighting for we going into college football playoffs.